Good morning, everyone. So you should have already logged into Tinkercad with your class code, and we're just going to run through the basics of how it works before we do any lessons. So this is the main screen. You can see all these old files are in here with different things, different projects. So it'll save everything you do, and it saves every few seconds when you're in the app. Also, I can open up your individual accounts and open up your files and fix things that need adjusting or other stuff like that. So, if you want to create a design, the first thing you do is hit this button up here, create new design, and that'll open us into Tinkercad. So here we go. Here's the main screen. First thing you want to notice is up here. Anytime you open a new design, it gives it a random title. So mine says Incredible Snicket. So that's going to be your file name. You always want to change that. That way when you submit your designs and I print them out on the printers, I'll be able to figure out whose design is whose. So I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to change it to my last name. And I'm just going to write intro in here, because that's what we're doing. We're just going over the basics of Tinkercad. So Tinkercad, we create 3D designs to make all kinds of objects by adding different shapes together to get to those designs. So all these buttons are going to have an important feature, and we're going to run through them. So first, you see all these items here. So if we can click on an item and put it into the work plane. So we got a box, a cylinder, a triangle, a pyramid. So that's how you get objects onto the work plane. Now, first thing to note, you'll see each of these are a different color. You can click this button here and change the color to what you want it to do. Now, when I print your designs, they're always going to come out white, like this emoji right here, because I only use white plastic on the 3D printers. So don't spend a lot of time changing the colors of your designs, because in the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. All this really does is color can show us objects that are separate from one another and are not connected. So that's how you place a basic object. Quick thing about the menu, so we're going to use basic shapes the most, but if you tap here, you'll see you can go to texts, numbers, letters, you do characters, have all kinds of little things here. Connectors, we're not going to use that. And then you've got making at home, more daily items. Some of you might be able to get to shape library, where there's all kinds of stuff in here. There's even a sub-menu here, so you can find lightning bolts, all kinds of things. And then shape generators, we'll use those because you can do country, states, things like that. So we're going to start with basic shapes. So we're going to put a box here, and all these buttons on the screen has different functions. So the white buttons, you click them, you'll see these numbers pop up. So if I want to, I could touch this with my mouse or with your finger. You can poke at it and pull, and as you pull, you're going to make it bigger. So right now we are in millimeters. So all I'm doing is changing the size and shape of this object. So the black boxes will make your object go up and down, left and right. White will do all of it. This button up here will adjust how tall your object is. The cone, I call it the cone, up top, can lift your objects up and down. And speaking on that, so this is the work plane here. You want to imagine this work plane is the ground floor of our design. So imagine it is the printer bed. You want everything to be resting right on top of it, not below it or above it. You want to think of this as your ground level. A few other things. These arrows will help you rotate your designs different ways. So if you use this inside set of lines, it'll lock you into these angles, so you can perfectly flip it over. Or if you use these ones out here, I wouldn't recommend it, because you can put it on anything. So if you're trying to, let's say, flip your object completely around, and you leave it at say 178, you're going to say it looks pretty close to 180, but when I go to print it, it's going to have that gap right in here, and it's going to mess up your whole design. So that's how you rotate objects. And what else can we do? So another important one, we'll go through all the buttons. So we put this box here. First you've got copy. So I just hit copy. If I hit paste, now I got two of those boxes. We're not going to use copy and paste a whole lot, but that's how it works. One of the most important buttons right here, duplicate and repeat. So each time I select an object and I click this, it'll copy and paste right where this object is. So I hit this 3 times, 1, 2, 3. There's now going to be 3 new boxes exactly where the first one was. So that is what duplicate and repeat does. It's going to be very handy for creating new and the same sizes of objects. obviously. Trash can deletes things, backward undoes something, forward redoes it. We don't need these two. Okay, these two buttons here are very helpful. They're the most important button on the thing, group and ungroup. So this is how we make different shapes. So let's say I wanted to make a box. Here's a nice box. And I wanted to make an actual empty box. I would then duplicate and repeat. So I've got two of the same sizes. Now what I want to do is hit this button here, whole, or what I call hollow. Now this object is an empty space. So if we add this empty space into the larger box, it is going to create a hollow box. So first I'm going to make it a little bit smaller than the other box. I'm going to lift it up a little too so there's a floor. And then I'm going to place it inside of this. Now you could just freehand it for this, but there's also a button called Align right here. Align, which is very hard to use on tablets, will line up your objects exactly how you want it. So I'm going to select both of these objects. I'm going to push Align. Now see all these dots. Each dot is going to move the boxes a different way. So this dot will line up the boxes so they are at the same height. This one will put them on the center of each other, and this one will put them both on the ground floor. What we want are these two, the centers. So first I'm going to center them this way. I'm going to center them this way, and now the hollow box is directly in the center of the solid box. So finally I'm going to double click, select both of them, and I'm going to group them together, and that's how you create a hole or a spot or a empty spot of a object. We could also, if we make this bigger and drop it through, now we'll create a complete hole through this box here, and that's how you have it. So these functions are going to be some of the most helpful things. One more I'm going to show you real quick. Need a different object. I'm going to go just for sake. Where's the okay? So the eyeball. I'm just going to make it bit nice and big so you can see it. Okay. Another button right here is called mirror. If you hit the mirror button, it'll create a mirror image of your object. It'll make it kind of opposite. So if I take this and I click mirror, and it can have all these arrows, so if I want to flip it upside down, I can. If I want to flip it backwards, I can. Or if I want to make it the other way, I can. So let's say you're going to add an eyeball and you want another eyeball the other direction of the same size. We could duplicate and repeat, so now there's two. And then you could mirror, and now you have eyes going both ways. Delete those. So that is the basics of Tinkercad. One more thing I'll show you. We still got time. We don't need these. So ruler. So this is the ruler. We're going to use this for some of the more complicated designs. The ruler will show us how far any object is from the point we set. So we know from here to here is 39. So if I change that to 20, it'll then slide it over. Same thing, we know it's 80 millimeters from here to here. So if I make that 50, it'll adjust the size of the square, which is something I think I didn't cover at the beginning. We'll go over that for the end of this video. So when you are adjusting your dimensions, it might seem easier to do this, which it is easier to move it around, but if you want something accurate, it can be a little challenging. So like, let's say I want to get to 20, and I'm moving this around, oh, 21, and you're going up and down. Easier ways to change your dimensions of objects. Let's say I want to make this 80 by 80. You click one of the boxes, like I click this white box, then you can tap the number with your finger. I'm going to make that 80. Same thing for over here. I'm going to click in there, make it 80. And then same thing up, I'm going to make that, let's say, 80. So that's the way to do it for accurate dimensions. Also, your pull-down menu here, if you don't see this menu, click your arrow right here. There we go. So let's say if I want to change length, width, and heights, I can just click in here. Let's make it 45. Let's make this 15. And then let's make this 49. and it'll make all the adjustments for you. So that's another easy way of doing it. Remember, we want accurate measurements when we put those in. But that is the basics of Tinkercad. So why don't you go ahead, get into Tinkercad, play around, get used to it, and then I believe your first assignment for this week is to complete your own emoji, which will be pretty straightforward. As we progress through the class. Designs will get more and more harder. If you have any questions, send me an email.